Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where we share the very human stories behind how technology has transformed our lives, work, and even world. And since 2014, a company called RAKwireless has been delivering simple yet powerful tools to eliminate barriers in IoT connectivity and ultimately empower people to build a smarter future. And RAK's continuous development of these IoT solutions have been empowering innovators and commercial enterprises to build the right environment for their property. And the brand has held partnerships with some of the world's leading tech players such as Amazon Alexa, Google Home and Microsoft. And they also regularly partner with academic schools, organisations in a bid to try and help support young people working to build a better, more innovative future through IoT devices, and also secured 10 million in Series A funding. But what put them on my radar was when I read that they beat their last record and accelerated shipment of 13,000 units of their RAK hotspot miners. And also how miners extend their Helium network coverage to bring HNT rewards to more people. So what is Helium? What are the HNT tokens? Can you see what they did there? And what is the story behind all this? Well, buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to Newcastle in the UK, where Jose Marcelino, Solutions Architect of RAKwireless, is waiting to share his story with us today. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Hey, everyone. Thank you, Neil, very much for having me here. I'm super excited. So I'm Jose Marcelino. I'm Solutions Architect at RAKwireless. RAKwireless is a Chinese company, but we have a very global team, and I'm part of the UK team. And currently I'm co-leading the Helium projects at RAK. And Helium being a very big network and growing very fast, this is a very demanding job.
And there's a lot to unpack there. Obviously, you're speaking to me in Newcastle today. You're part of a UK team for RAKwireless. But I've got to ask, what is your origin story? Where did your passion for tech come from? And what put you on this path you're on today?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Portugal. I've lived in the UK for 12 years now, but originally from there. I guess my story is a little bit boring. So because I've been on this same path since I was about 6 years old, and that was a long time ago. Kind of started with the ZX Spectrum, the first computer I've got. My dad got it for me. And I really got into it. I spent countless hours on it, just coding and trying games. But I also loved more than just the games. Also loved connecting things to it, so that the Spectrum had a little interface bus on the back. You could plug in all kinds of weird and wonderful devices. So there were like printers and light pens and even kind of early networking systems. So I kind of collected all of those gadgets and plugged them into my Spectrum, and it kind of, so I think these accessories kind of so it kind of adds to the experience a lot more. So it's kind of a whole is greater than the sum of parts thing. You can do a lot more with two things connected. So that kind of started on that path. Then later, my parents moved to Macau in China. So this was near Hong Kong. Was still under the Portuguese rule, and I was very fortunate because this allowed me to get into the computer culture that was brewing up in Hong Kong, which was nearby. Back then, there was a lot of IBM PCs, so that it was starting, and they were making a lot of clones. You could go to a shopping center in Hong Kong called the Golden Center, and you'll just find like PC clones stacked up high on shelves up to the wall. Very, very exciting thing. Then I kind of got into more on the networking side. So I got a modem and I started running something called the BBS. I don't know if your listeners will know what that is. It was kind of a dial-up forum. So you'd connect it over the phone, and then you could share things on a like a forum or download files. It's a very, very early thing before the internet. So I was running my own and then collecting like user email and file requests. And then late at night, I would connect up to the US or Australia, which was near, just to get like the low cost, the cheap phone rates. And then I'll trade these requests and files. So people back then would get like an email in 3 days. And this was super exciting back then. It's not the way we had it now. And then kind of I started seeing this thing called the internet. So I started reading Wired magazine. It was starting back then. And it was this super exciting world. So machines connected like 24/7 and there was no call, like no connection costs. So I got really deep into that. I went to university then and I had access to the internet. This was around 95. And then I started seeing people connecting machines to the internet. Like there was a vending machine, I believe at MIT, which you could run a command called finger. And finger is like a command which tells you which users are logged in onto a machine. This is from, nowadays you can't use it because of privacy and so on, but it was a lot more open back then. So you could check who was logged in into kind of any machine in the world. So these people hooked up their Coke vending machine, so selling Coca-Cola and Sprite and so on. And they hooked it up with finger, and then you could finger the machine and see how many cans of Coke there was at MIT. I mean, this was incredible to me. And nowadays it's like, it's nothing, but it was really incredible that I could do this at very low cost. So that kind of put me on the IoT path. I really got into it. I got really addicted. I mean, I admit I was hours on end on the internet and coding and enjoying like the web and now the cloud. And basically been doing that since then.
Well, let me tell you, anything that begins with a ZX Spectrum is a far from boring backstory. As someone that spent my younger years playing horoscope, skiing, Manic Miner, and Chucky Egg, and Jet Set Willy, all those.
Willy. Oh, yes. Yeah, those were great days.
Yeah, they really were. But in present day, of course, RAKwireless has been delivering simple but powerful tools that eliminate barriers to IoT connectivity, which ultimately should aim to empower people to build a more smarter future and that Jetsons lifestyle that we were all promised. But can you set the scene and tell the listeners a little bit more about the kind of problems that you set out to solve with your customers? Yeah,
so like you said, RAKwireless is focused on IoT and Internet of Things and making it simple. I think it's kind of an area where you need like technology and also kind of social skills. And so my role at RAK is really to kind of listen to people mostly, see what they really need, which is always kind of a difficult first step sometimes. Sometimes people don't know exactly what they need. And then kind of play like Legos almost. So it's so I see this social block. So what we can do in kind of interacting with people and also interacting with technology. So I guess my role is like playing with Legos and putting this kind of two things together and finding like a way to overcome barriers to adoption to the like an IoT solution. So yeah, I do have. I think it's having both and rebuilding things this way. It's kind of funny because when I joined RAK, we were launching a product called WizBlock. And this kind of adopts that idea more into a physical form. So WizBlock is a modular system. So you can get electronic parts that plug in together like Legos. And using that, you can build an IoT solution. So for me, that's kind of the first physical thing and the technology part. And I'm also trying to see where we can go with this on the software side and like bringing people in as part of the solution as well.
Before you came on the podcast, I was doing a bit of research on you guys, and I came across the relationship between RAKwireless and Helium. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, and how do the miners work?
Yeah, so Helium started last year. We started our relationship with them. Helium was It's a company that has been trying different IoT approaches for some time now, actually. It's not their first rodeo, let's say. But last year, they were getting into this technology called LoRaWAN. This is long-range radio. And RAK is one of the industry leaders on that. So we are one major supplier of that technology, and we create a lot of solutions with it. So Helium found our products. We had launched a new kind of concentrator card. So this is using the latest and greatest chips. So that it ran very cool. So it didn't get hot, and it was also more efficient than the previous generation. And not many vendors had this. So Helium was very interested in this, and they contacted us to see if we will be willing to work with them and build what they were calling a miner, now called the OG miner, so the original miner. So we helped with building their miners initially. But then I think they got a little bit overwhelmed with the distribution. And also this was after COVID hit, and there was a lot of shortages of parts. And so they kind of got away from the hardware side. And again, they asked us to help build our own miner for their network. And yeah, we saw a very good opportunity there. I mean, this was about this time last year, actually. And the Helium network had about 5,000 of these miners on the network, or maybe 10,000. And yeah, we saw like a good growth. So that definitely will be an interesting opportunity for us. We saw also a good growth in the US, where this LoRa technology hadn't really picked up yet. So yeah, we agreed, and we built a new miner, third-party miner for the network called the RAK Hotspot miner. Began sales in around October last year, and it really picked up very, very quickly. So and soon we were completely sold out in days. Actually, it didn't take very long. And even now, so we've already shipped over 100,000 units now in this period since October. And we're looking to ship even maybe more than double of that.
And at the moment, I think some of the exciting things that are happening are all these emerging technologies that we've been reading about for the last 2 years are beginning to converge and create new opportunities. And I'm curious, is there anything that excites you about how blockchain and IoT technology are converging, or how they're going to reshape the future?
I do see technology like in cycles. So I've been around for a while. Like I said, I started with the Spectrum. So I've seen the cycles of technology. We saw the web 1.0 technology, like this was the initial web, and getting machines connected up, trading data directly without any middleman. So before this, people would have to use an BBS, like I said, or AOL, or like even like in the UK, I think teletext, I think it was video text. I'm not sure what it was called here, but there had to be some intermediary on this, and the web kind of broke that down. So you could set up your own web server anywhere in the world. You didn't need to ask permission to anyone, and you could publish your information there. So that was the first wave, and it is a decentralizing technology. So it removes intermediaries, just allows people to do more. But it also became bloated quite quickly. So nowadays you have to go like on Facebook or somewhere to publish your thing. So I think we've gone back a little bit on that. Then kind of the Web 2.0 revolution came about. This is more, so it's building on top of the first one. And it's bringing the social aspect, so you can then connect. You could follow people on the internet and see what they post directly. You didn't need to read they didn't need to publish on a newspaper, for example. So again, it's kind of a very strong decentralizing force. But again, like the first one, I think we're already seeing it getting a little bit bloated. So again, you have to publish on YouTube to actually be seen, or for a podcast, you have to be on Spotify or Apple Podcasts to get your viewership. So again, I think we're back to centralizing things a little bit again. So I'm excited by the next step, which is where the blockchain comes in. So what people are now calling Web 3.0, because I think for the first time you can really transmit value over the internet. So without any other company involved. So I can send you some value over directly to your account with no one else seeing what it is. And the value is not just like what people think. It's not just Bitcoin or money. It can be content like NFTs. We're seeing a lot of that now, or kind of other rewards. So this, to me, this builds a very strong system. So again, I think we are going to decentralize things again, because now you can incentivize people for doing things. So like you can imagine, instead of publishing on YouTube, you could build a decentralized YouTube where you could publish your videos there, and you get rewarded directly for your content. So whatever profit your content makes, you get that directly. You don't need to go through Google. So it's a little bit scary for the big companies, I think, but I think they are very they are watching it very closely. To bring it back to your question, like the IoT side, it is, to me, it's revolutionary. So because with IoT you can measure things remotely or act on machines and other tools remotely. And if you connect this to blockchain, where you can have a smart contract to transmit this value over, then you can really decentralize very big things like utility companies or telecoms companies, like Helium is doing here.
And another reason I was excited to get you on the podcast today is when I was doing that research, I also came across the People's Network. Cracking name, but what does the People's Network represent, and why is the builder community so important to you all at RAKwireless?
Yeah, so the People's Network is what Helium is building. So before, you either had to go like to a Vodafone or a big company to build a network, or you could try to set it up yourself, but there was no reward system for this. So people will maybe try out the network as kind of just for getting like social brownie points, basically. So there was no like physical or monetary reward for this. What the People's Network created was this. So they used the blockchain to transmit this value. So you can set up you can become part of the network. So you bring in a miner, this kind of telecoms equipment grade machine, which picks up signals from little sensors, or nowadays, now you can also we provide service for mobile phones as well. And you get rewarded because of that. So whatever data you transfer through your part of the network, you get rewarded in their tokens. This is and they've done this in a way like they don't centralize this, so it's very open. So all the software is open source. Anyone can contribute to the code, and they also allow people to contribute to how the network is managed. So they have this process called the Helium improvement process, the heap. We call them the heaps. So people can suggest changes or improvements, and then other members will vote on it directly. So again, this is very open way, and you can influence things yourself. Like even a small player can do that, which is not something you could like tell Vodafone, "Oh, I don't like how the way you operate," for example. They wouldn't listen to you. I think this is what the builder community represents, really.
And I think being able to mine Helium cryptocurrency tokens, that aspect of it, and allowing users to create passive income is incredibly cool, but not as cool as the token's name being called HNT. I see what you've done there. Incredibly clever. But what was the idea behind creating them there?
Yeah, they are very clever with how they market things. The idea is how to create this, how to reward people for running the network. They didn't want to use like US dollars or something like that, because that can be controlled and changed. So by providing tokens that people can trade, they've saved themselves from a lot of trouble, and made the network more international as well. So it's not limited to one currency, and they're decentralized. So the Helium doesn't pay anyone directly. It's the network that produces the value. This is a very it is a very complex concept to grasp. I took maybe a couple of months initially to really make sense. But the important thing is that people don't need to know this. So all they need to know is deploy a miner in their home. And deploying a miner is just connecting a little box to your power outlet. You launch the Helium app on your phone, and it will pick up the hotspot. You create your wallet where all these HNT tokens are stored. And from then on, it's live, it's on the network, and it's producing your passive income. It's really that simple.
And we will have people listening from your community that'll be eagerly awaiting updates and all that kind of thing. But we'll get to that in a moment. But before we do, what about the future of RAK Helium miners? Why is it such a compelling time, do you think, for RAK fans and other young folks who love to tinker and create and build new devices and ideas? Because looking at your story, that's something that you've always loved to do since that day of playing with your ZX Spectrum and playing and then going on to coding, etc. You've always been someone that tinkers with technology. But why do you think it's so exciting now for those same reasons?
Yeah, it's super exciting to me. It's like the internet was 25 years ago. So there's nothing has been really strictly defined yet. There's no big players, and everyone has a chance. So this is for me, it's the best time to build something now. And there's so many opportunities. It's not just on the IoT side, but also on the blockchain side. So you can look into maybe financial things. Like there's a movement now called the DeFi, which is distributed finance. There's also things like on the IoT side, we're moving into 5G now, which is again super exciting. That the ability that you can create a network for mobile phones to roam in yourself at home. It's kind of a game changer, and even also in the IoT space. So there's a lot of it's not been done yet. We need more sensors. We need more devices using the IoT network, and there are so many applications out there in the real world where people just still do it like by hand, or they go around like with the thermometer, reading temperatures, things like that. It still happens a lot. So those things can be automated, and we need companies to do that. We need entrepreneurs to come in and really create these products and then make them easy. Because like the internet was 25 years ago, it was very difficult to use. You had to use dark terminals with green text on it. It wasn't user-friendly at all. And I think we're at that stage now with blockchain and crypto. Things are still a little bit difficult. It's not a topic that many people still know yet how to work. So it needs more businesses to come in and provide this user friendliness and user experience.
Well, you guys have my sympathy in this space, because I know how difficult it is when all your community are going to be demanding partnerships and updates on a regular basis. But when you do get those partnerships, you're locked down to NDAs and can't shout about them. So it is a tough balance. But for community members listening, are there any teasers that you can offer about the road ahead, and leave us with one of those crypto teasers?
We're launching a new brand. I think RAK has been a very traditional IoT business or kind of maker friendly company, but we've not really targeted to normal people from you from other backgrounds. So we would need some IoT background to understand what RAK is doing. So we're trying to change that with this new brand. We are making things even simpler, and we're listening to the community. One big problem was that there was people were placing orders for these miners and waiting months on end. So we're changing that. We're going to provide very fast deliveries, so you can order it and get it within days. And we're also making it more friendly. So we'll have more of a better app experience. We'll have a better support experience as well. So you can ask us if you have problems. You don't need to go into like underground forums on the internet to find out why your miner isn't mining. You can just reach us. So yeah, we're trying to change the game, make it really bring it to everyone, really. So the blockchain, crypto, and Helium in particular, bring it to everyone. So to drop an hint, let's say you should look into the minted brand, like that. I don't know. Let's see if we can share this part. I think we can by then. The brand will be called Minted, MNTT. Just a play on words again, like the HNT token. It's all fun, a bit of fun.
Brilliant. And speaking of a bit of fun, we started the podcast talking about your origin story, how you got into tech from that ZX Spectrum. But now as we come full circle, I want to find out what was the soundtrack to your career in tech. If you're a coder, you must have had some earphones on, playing a variety of playlists. Is there a particular song that always helps you get your head in the zone?
Yeah, I think my whole career was built upon the Pixies, like many other people from that time. So I would say, and to bring it back to Helium, I would say maybe a song will be Frank Black, so the Pixies lead singer. He has a song called Can I Get a Witness? And I think this is perfect for Helium because that's what we want. You want to get a lot of witnesses on your hotspot so that you can get more HNT rewards. So I'd say that song is good.
What a great choice there. I'll add that to the Spotify playlist. And for anybody listening that are new to hearing about RAK Wireless, want to check out the community, maybe they want to ask a few questions or just want to find out more information, what's the best starting point?
You can you can find our new webpage. So I think by the time this podcast will go out, we'll have the Minted website up and running, and there you'll find links. I think for crypto and in this space, the best communities are on Discord. This is a system used more like for gamers in the past, but now has been adopted by many communities. So you can connect to our Discord server, and you'll find us there almost all the time, 24/7 there. You can chat with other community members and find out more about Helium and RAK.
And what about the When Moon guys? Are they on the same channel or do you put them somewhere else?
Yeah, we're always hoping to get Moon. So today, I mean, crypto goes up and down. That is, it's a way of life. Currently, it's down. We hope that will go up. But Helium the token has increased a lot. So when I joined Helium last year, the token was valued at less than $1, and now it currently is around 20. So it's grown a lot, and I think there's a little bit more to go still.
Excellent. Well, I'd love to get you back on next year, see how things are going. I know how quickly things move in this space, so we will have to get you on and get some more updates. But before I do, just a big thank you for taking the time to come on here and share your story and bring it all to life. And we hear about so many big tech stories, especially in the blockchain and crypto community, but we often forget that it's very human stories behind it all. So thank you for sharing yours today.
Thank you very much for allowing me to share it. Yeah, it's my pleasure.
So I've loved hearing more about RAK Wireless and the relationship with Helium, how the miners work, and also a little bit more about the People's Network, what it represents, and why the builder community is so important to RAK Wireless, and also being able to mine for the Helium cryptocurrency, very aptly named HNT tokens. But if you are a member of the community, if you are earning passive income from that, I'd love to hear from you. And if you're somebody that just likes to tinker and create and build new devices and ideas, again, love to hear from you too. So please email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com. My website is techblogwriter.co.uk. Keep your messages coming in. Each and every one of you are what brings this show to life. You sharing your stories alongside the guest. That's what it's all about. Well, hopefully you'll join me again tomorrow. But a big thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.